At the beginning of the 20th century, a little American girl would spend her summer holidays enjoying the cool and the beautiful scenery of Mount Lushan. Her name was Pearl Seidenstreaker, and she would later become famous as the Nobel Prize-winning author Pearl S. Buck. For her and the many other children of foreign missionaries, the mount and the school they attended there would leave a deep and lasting impression.
On November the 26th, 2005, Changsha Primary School at the foot of Mount Lushan was reduced to rubble by an earthquake. In the United States, the news reached the members of the Cooling American School Association. They released a statement on the association's website stating that they would like to make a donation to help the children affected by the earthquake. The association eventually sent 2,000 desks and chairs and 500 Oxford English-Chinese dictionaries. On May the 5th, 2005, a group of alumni of Cooling American School gathered together to reminisce about their days on Mount Lushan.
This is rough cut on the same fields, and we played prisoner's base and those kinds of things like you did. And we went to Lions Leap and Land's End and all that. The major thing.
In the early 1900s, missionaries from the U.S. set up a school for their children and named it the American Cooling School, after the place where it was located. Cooling American School had originally been established on September 4, 1916, for the children of American Christian missionaries. The school was closed down in 1927 and reopened in 1931. It was finally closed in 1938 with the outbreak of the anti-Japanese War, when all the students were moved to the Shanghai American School. Mount Lushan, with its valleys, cliffs, and waterfalls, instilled in the children a spirit of energy and adventure. John Harvey Bouchard, the legendary American explorer who wrote Grand Canyon Treks based on his experience of hiking for 1,000 days through the Colorado Canyon and had research papers and articles published in National Geographic, was one of the earliest students at the Cooling American School. Bouchard never forgot Mount Lushan. In his memoirs, he later recalled how he had climbed and explored the mountain. The children enjoyed swimming in a pool on Mount Lushan. Xiao Wen is a native of Mount Lushan. He remembers a group of American children who used to swim in the pool when he was a boy.
这个地方呢，就是原来美国学校的学生们那个男孩子，光那个屁股在这里游泳，把衣服全部反在那个石头上。 当时我在那个什么地方呢？我就站在那个桥上面，那个桥的中间，逗着玩的，把他衣服全部藏到这个竹林子里去了。学校打铃，要上课了，赶紧爬起来，爬起来一看，哦，全是光着屁股，衣服没看见了，没看见怎么办呢？就哇啦哇啦哇啦就往宿舍里跑，啊！当时我们的几个小孩就站在上面，就哈哈大笑。
The American children used to swim in Wulong Pool on Lushan Mountain. Today, the pool is swarming with Chinese children. The pool isn't as splendid as most people imagine, but its waters are as clear as jade. The pool echoes with the merry voices of children. Whatever background or culture people come from, they always feel that the scenic spots on Lushan Mountain purify their souls. The most famous scenic spot on Mount Lushan is the Wulao Peak. There, the weather is very changeable. In 1935, Roy Allgood, headmaster of Cooling American School, had a pavilion built, which he called Dai Ching Ting. He designed it as a refuge for tourists caught in bad weather, after a friend he accompanied on a visit to the peak fell ill after being drenched in a sudden downpour. Roy Allgood was born in 1890 to an American Christian missionary family. After his graduation, he came to China and taught in Fujian province. In 1931, he accepted the appointment as headmaster of Cooling American School and, taking his family with him, moved to Mount Lushan. Mrs. Allgood spent all her savings buying 5 cows because she wanted to provide milk and dairy products for the students. The students responded by weaving woolen blankets to protect the cows from the winter cold. In 1938, after the Japanese invasion forced the school to close, Mrs. Allgood left with their 5 children. But her husband, who was convinced the war would soon be over, remained at the school and converted it into a shelter for refugees. The school became a shelter not only for fleeing refugees. Qin Renchang, curator of the Mount Lushan Botanical Garden, entrusted numerous specimens and files to the headmaster. Qin hoped that Allgood's American identity would protect his valuable botanical collection from the Japanese. However, the American missionary was soon forced to abandon the mountain, leaving the specimens and documents to be seized by the Japanese. The teachers and students of the American school experienced the same hardship and misery as the Chinese people during the war. In 1971, Premier Zhou Enlai received 2 distinguished guests from the United States. The Hartons were a married piano duo and the first American artists to visit China since 1949. During their meeting, Mrs. Harton told the Premier that Mount Lushan was her second home. She intended to compose a piano suite in honor of the mountain and hoped to perform it in China. On August 24, 1910, Frances Root, later Harton, was born to a missionary family on Mount Lushan. As a child, she loved music. She was already playing piano when she was 6. She attended Cooling American School before, at the age of 18, returning to the U.S. After visiting Mount Lushan again in 1986, she composed her piano suite. As a little girl, Frances would play with her siblings in front of the gate, beneath the towering trees. The 27-minute Lushan suite was based on the local Haozi folk song tradition with a rock and roll influence. The lyrics are excerpts from ancient Chinese poems. In April 1987, at the age of 77, Frances Harden gave a recital at the Beijing Concert Hall. As her prelude, she played the Lushan suite, which she had spent 10 years composing. The audience was moved by the touching melody, which described the grand passion she felt for the mountain. The Cooling American School Association was founded in 1938. Despite the passage of time, the members' love of Mount Lushan has not been dimmed. These days, the association has embraced a new, younger generation. One former student explains that Cooling American School is one of the sweetest memories in their lives. The emotional bond with the school will live on.